Who is behind Dharmastala's Dark Truth? I butchered that name. Janya, Ananya, and 1,000 Other Bodies by Desi Studios. I butchered these names. I murdered these names. Anyways, we'll jump in. We'll see.
Dharmasthala, Karnataka.
Dharmasthala. Okay.
For centuries, its name has meant justice. It's a place where faith feels tangible, a sanctuary where a Hindu deity is served by a Jain family in a rare show of harmony. But in July of 2025, a story would emerge that threatened to turn this sacred ground into a crime scene. A story that suggests for years, while pilgrims prayed for salvation, others were being buried in shallow graves. It began when one man decided he could no longer carry
The Indian 3Ks? Why is he marrying a hood? Well, it's not a hood. It's a mat. Or is it a hood?
the weight of what he had done and what he had seen. A man who claimed that he held the key to over 100 unsolved deaths. This is the story of the skeletons of Dharmasthala.
It always scares me, this intro. If I die, I die. It is what it is. The real reason I dislike Kirsche. The real reason I love Kirsche. Because of the random articles she sometimes covers. She also covered, before that, she covered African people complaining about people taking away their space rock, considering it a part of the culture. Fun fact, it was just a random space rock that wasn't part of their culture.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Desi Crime Podcast, a show where we dive deep into some of the craziest stories from around South Asia. I'm your host Aryan.
And I'm Aishwarya.
And the case that I have for you today is one that has riveted not just the state of Karnataka, but the whole of India. It's the case that everybody seems to be talking about right now.
Our DMs are full
I have
of
never
just
been
this
sent
case.
one single scoop whoop
So
carousel
much.
so many times.
And you were very particular in calling me and telling me not to read up anything about this case because you were actually doing a deep dive and a case into this.
I was already going to write a script on the Sojanya case from 2012.
Because it's not a new case.
It's not a new case. It's more than a decade.
Sojanya. I think I got this time. Shake it to the max. Stop with that song. I'll kick you out.
Old.
Right.
And so, I wasn't sort of keeping up with social media necessarily. And I told Aishwarya when she asked me, which case are you thinking of doing? I said, the Sojanya, the scandal. She said, the one in the news right now. I'm like, why is it in the news right now?
Yeah, he had no idea.
I said, and then it just led me into a deep dive of what's really happening at Dharmasthala. So this is a complete debrief of everything you know and everything you don't know about this case. Before that, talking about cases you don't know, guys.
Yay!
You see what that is? That's what boomers call a book.
For those of you on audio,
That is what boomers call a book. But it is a book. Interesting. So what will this book contain? Interesting. They have a book now. They have a book. I should order it.
this is our Desi Crime, the book.
The book.
Which is so crazy to hold in our own hands. We've been dreaming about this for almost...
Yeah, we like
more than a
calling
year
ourselves
now.
writers, but sort of...
Of course you do. The writers. I mean, hey. To be fair, from the last one, that what's the word? That poem was peak. I have to admit.
Now that we have a book, we can actually say
Right.
we're writers. But if you want to get your hand on the Desi Crime book, the link is in the bio to pre-order. The book is out on 19th August.
Skip the ads. I will not skip the ad. I will not skip the ad. We are not doing that. I need to keep in mind what the bird said.
But if you buy the book in pre-orders, you get a 10% discount. But not just that, it helps us rank up the Amazon bestseller list, which makes the book popular. This book has an editorialized, formatted version of some of the best cases we've ever covered on Desi Crime. But not just that, because we know some of you want more and you want new. So there are a couple of completely exclusive stories written entirely for the book. So get your hands on the Desi Crime book
Right now.
Chapter 1.
I mean, let the people have their bread, okay? They're doing a good job here, right? I'm greatly entertained. Let them have their bread. Somebody wants their book, they can get their book. Easy.
The Whistleblower's Confession. The story begins not with a crime, but with a confession. On July 3rd, 2025, just a few weeks ago, a man walks into the Dakshina Kannada police station. He's not here to report his phone missing, nor does he seem to be from around the neighborhood. But there's an air of suspicion around him, and something vaguely familiar the cops can sense, but not quite pinpoint. The day must have begun for the cops just as...
His aura is negative. He has negative a million aura. Desi, people, cultures, and products originating from the Indian subcontinent. Okay. What did the bird say? Do not skip the ads. If I use their content, react to it, and add my own stuff, I should at least watch the ads. So we're gonna watch the ads. Except if the ads are scummy, then that's a different situation.
another with chai and routine paperwork. But what this man says next to them has India on its feet right now. He tells them he's a Dalit man who had once worked as a sanitation employee.
Right now? This is new? When did that drop? That video. Oh, that's essentially, basically, almost completely new 3 weeks ago. Okay, cool.
For the Dharmasthala temple administration. Something clicks for the cops. The man in front of them is a wanted fugitive. He's been on the run, but now he's here. Why? He tells them he has been living under a hidden identity since 2014, but he wanted to bring this 16-year-long nightmare to an end. And to do so, he had in his hands a sworn affidavit. In the affidavit lay his very nightmare. He told the police that his job involved more than just sanitation. From 1998 to 2014, he claimed he was the man they called when a body needed to disappear. The first time he was ordered to dispose of a corpse, he hesitated. His supervisor's response was a...
So, he, put himself to the police. Weird behavior, something's off. July 2025, it's a recent discovery, appears to be the case.
Swift and brutal, quote, "We will cut you into pieces, your body will be buried like the rest," end quote. After that, he obeyed. At first, he tried to rationalize it. The bodies found near the Netravati river, he told himself, must be suicides or accidental drownings. But the pattern became undeniable. The victims were almost always women, often found naked or partially clothed, their bodies marked with the distinct signs of sexual assault and strangulation. The quiet instructions from his superior...
Oh, a classic. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised to hear that, to be fair. I'm not surprised. That happens way too often.
Was always the same, quote, "Take care of them quietly." His affidavit reads like a ledger of death. He remembers a schoolgirl, no older than 15, found near a petrol bunk in 2010. Quote, "She was wearing a school uniform and her skirt and innerwear were missing," his statement reads. He was ordered to dig a pit and bury her right there, along with her school bag.
Bro has been active since 2010, probably longer? And nobody bats an eye? How do these guys... I know. Very often indeed. I know. No one is surprised, Doug. I don't think so. I know that there's a lot of people in that country. But you can't tell me that this motherfucker just ran around in public for 15 years and possibly longer if his cases date back even longer. Bro, what the fuck?
Her from the world entirely. He remembers another woman, her face destroyed by acid, her body wrapped in newspaper. His orders were to burn her with diesel fuel until nothing remained. The methods were cold and clinical. Shallow graves along the riverbank, bodies dumped into the water, or
He was ordered. He was ordered. Okay. Does that not... That sounds like he wasn't the one committing the crimes. He was just the one getting rid of the bodies. Wording. As I said, police is here shit. Shit is not even comparable. Except the neighbor police guy, he's cool. Shit is not even... That does even not even describe it. Like, man. Completely, you might as well not have any police at all.
remains incinerated with chemicals and fire. In total, he believes he had disposed of over 100 people. Now fast forward to this month where
Well, the title said 1,000. Bro, useless is not the description I would use for that police. What the fuck? How do you not catch a dude that possibly buried 1,000 people?
he shows up at the police station to unburden himself of the guilt of burying almost 100 people, he needed evidence to back this big claim. To prove this wasn't just a story, he takes a huge risk. Before approaching the police this very month, he had secretly returned to one of the burial sites from 2014. He dug into the earth and unearthed the grim proof of his past, a human skull and bones, which he photographed and later handed over to the court.
Yeah, I have a feeling that he was not the one doing it, actually. He was just the one, again, he used the term ordered. That means that he was told to do it. That means somebody else was at least also involved.
Now, in most cases, leading the police to skeletons would make you guilty of the murder, or at least make you seem like guilty. Then why is this poor guy who's been in hiding going on the hunt for bones? How great is his guilt that he's putting everything on the line? What you need to understand is that by 2014, this man had buried nearly 100 bodies, according to him. But it was the final body he was told to bury that changed things for him. For 10 years of burying people, he had lived with these images, haunted by what he had done. But the final push came not from the ghosts of strangers, but from the fear.
Wait a minute. Was that what... Mom, daughter, sister?
Of his own family. In late
Knew it. Well, that makes sense.
2014, a minor girl in his own family was sexually harassed by an individual linked to his supervisors. It was a terrifying realization. The circle of victims was closing in.
Hold up. Is this like a big circle of multiple perpetrators? In law, it's basic. If a servant does something wrong, the owner will be blamed. It's a basic law tort. Okay. There's many more people involved, possibly. A single man probably is incapable of having 1,000. Huh.
That night, he fled with his family and never looked back. Until now. Until July 2025.
A whistleblower.
The whistleblower.
A whistleblower.
Now the man,
a former sanitation worker at the Dharmasthala temple, claiming that for decades he was burying bodies in Dharmasthala.
This confession, as shocking as it is for us, it didn't emerge in a vacuum from the people of Dharmasthala. For the people there, it felt like a dark prophecy fulfilled. It was a terrifying echo of a story they all knew, a story of another young girl whose death had become a symbol of justice denied. And I'm talking about the case of 17-year-old Sojanya. Chapter 2. The Ghost of Sojanya. To understand the sheer terror and fury that the whistleblower's claims have unleashed in 2025, we have to go back to 2012. We have to walk the path that Sojanya walked on the last day of her life. It was the morning of October 9th, a Tuesday. Sojanya, a bright second-year pre-university student at the Sri Dharmasthala Manjunatheshwara College in Ujjir, left her home.
Is there a reason why Indians are going everywhere but staying in India? I want to put that out there. Why is that the reason? Is this country actually that unsafe for women? by the owner will be blamed usually could end with deleting the slave. Most of the times, the owner didn't have to carry heavy punishment. Okay.
For classes. She was, by all accounts, a gentle and soft-spoken girl, deeply cherished by her family. Her mother, Kusumvati, would later describe their bond with a heartbreaking intimacy, saying they were more like sisters than mother and daughter. That afternoon, after her classes ended, Soujanya boarded a bus home. The last time anybody saw her alive, she was getting off a nearby junction, a familiar landmark just a short walk from her house, with the Netravati river flowing nearby. But she never made it home. As evening fell, a quiet worry in the Gowda household bloomed into full-blown panic. Her father, Chandappa Gowda, rushed to the nearby station to file a missing person complaint. But the family didn't just wait for the police. They, along with their neighbors and friends, mounted a desperate search. A massive crowd, numbering as many as 2,000 people, fanned
2,000 people looking for the girl. Hey, you don't hear that from other places. They do work together a lot, which is cool.
out into the night, their torchlights cutting through the darkness, their voices calling Sojanya's name. They scoured the very woods where her body would later be found, but the night gave them no answers. They returned home at 2 a.m., exhausted and terrified. It was only the next morning, October 10th, that their worst fears were realized. A local villager discovered her body in a wooded area near her own village, just a few kilometers from the Dharmasthala temple. The scene was one of unimaginable brutality. The 17-year-old had been raped and strangled to death, her hands cruelly bound to a tree with her own shawl. The autopsy would later confirm the horror, revealing injuries so, quote, shocking and disturbing, they spoke of a monstrous level of violence.
Bro, just 17-year-old. What the fuck are we doing, bro? This country needs a police reform. This land, this country needs a police reform. Holy shit, it does. It does. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it does depend on where you live, where you are, but it's just better to stay more cautious. Man.
In a final depraved act, her killer had packed sand into her private parts.
Well, that's what won't I believe, dear? Bro.
Cold, calculated attempt, investigators believe, to destroy any forensic evidence, any trace of his DNA. The public outcry was immediate and immense, a wave of grief and anger that put the Belthangadi police under a microscope. Under pressure to deliver swift results, they did just that, and we know how that goes. 2 days after Sojanya's body was found on October 11th, they announced, lo and behold, an arrest. They paraded their prime suspect, a 28-year-old man named Santosh Rao. Rao was a local labourer, an outsider who was known to be mentally ill according to them or intellectually challenged.
Aryan, we've seen this in way too many cases across India. This like immediate need for justice.
Always happens
and
and
outcome.
screws the case.
Absolutely. I don't know if in this case it worked or not. In a lot of cases it backfired.
So they got a dude. At least they got a dude. At least they got a dude. There's a reason I still consider India below third world countries, bro. A shawl is a scarf, a long piece of cloth. Oh, yeah, I expected that much because it sounds similar to the German word Schal. So I'm not surprised. Because scarf is Schal. And Schal does sound similar. With an Indian girl living right below our door. Right below the door, so she's living in the floor. Interesting.
Fires where the police end up giving a verdict that isn't necessarily true. It backfires for the families, for the victim indeed.
Yeah.
But did it work in this case?
I think when a case, firstly to answer your question, not at all.
Okay.
It did not work at all. And I think speedy justice is good. I'm not.
It's fantastic,
I'm
yeah.
not against the output.
You're right.
I'm against the intention.
Yep.
If your intention is I'm going to do a good investigative, I'm going to do a good investigation because we are well trained, by all means.
Yeah.
Deliver the result in 10 hours, I don't care. But if you're doing it to appease the public, appease your
Of course,
superiors,
it doesn't
or
work.
sort of just put the story to rest, or if there's some malicious intent behind finding a scapegoat, all those factors play in, then speedy justice always...
It has no meaning because it's not real justice.
It's not real justice.
Yeah.
But for now, the police had their victim, a man named Rao. He had reportedly been seen lingering suspiciously near the temple's Bahubali hillock around the time of the murder and had been caught by temple security staff and handed over to the police. The police claimed Rao had confessed to the crime. The case, it seemed...
Also, it's very simple what should happen to these people, right? They found the guy, but is he a real guy? Is he a real guy who did it? Good question. I'm gonna say this: whoever they catch, all of them, whoever they catch, and they're all responsible, they do all deserve to die. They all deserve to die. Jail is not good enough for them at all. Yeah, I misread it for floor for door. The problem is that the chat is super far away because my chat is usually on my phone when I do these, so I can't really see it. And in this room, I need to keep my phone far away. It sucks, but it is what it is.
was closed. But from the very beginning, Saujany's family and the local community rejected this narrative. They were adamant that Rao was a scapegoat, a convenient bali ka bakra, or sacrificial lamb, framed to protect the real culprits. How could a lone
So they used to decoy, and he's not the real dude. Oh god, 90% of their situation, police catch guy who is catch the guy who is the easiest. Oh no, this is not the real dude.
mentally unstable man commit such a calculated and brutal crime on his own? They alleged the true perpetrators were powerful young men from influential local families, men who were being shielded from justice. Saujanya's parents, Chandappa and Kusumvati, even gave the police a list of 4 suspects they wanted investigated. One of those names was Nishchal Jain, a man widely believed to be the nephew of the temple's powerful and revered administrator, Dr. Virendra Hegde. What followed was not a pursuit of justice, but a decade-long masterclass in investigative failure. Bowing to public pressure, the case was transferred from the
This is turning out to be how huge actually is this? How huge actually is this? This must be humongous. This must be a humongous thing here. Whatever's happening here.
local police to the state's Criminal Investigative Department, the CID. Hopes for an impartial probe were high. But in September 2013, the CID filed its charge sheet, and the community's worst fears were realized. They named only one man, Santosh Rao. The other suspects, the ones named by the family, were explicitly given a clean chit. The CID report was denounced as false by activists who accused the agency of colluding with the powerful people in question. The protests intensified, now with a new demand, a CBI probe. Even Dr. Virendra Hegde himself, with his family's name being dragged through the mud, publicly requested a CBI inquiry to clear the air. In November 2013, the case was officially handed over to the nation's premier agency, the Central Bureau of Investigation. Again, there was a flicker of hope. The CBI people thought would show.
Central Bureau of Investigation. Is this essentially like the FBI for India? Must be, right? Crime branch shit as well. Egotistic, undeserving guys. Okay. As much as I want those guys, they can't. Okay. I wonder if this literally is just a huge crime syndicate doing this weird shit.
Surely get to the bottom of the truth. They reinvestigated for over a year. They subjected the suspects named by the family, Malik Jain, Dheeraj Jain, and Uday Jain, to a battery of forensic tests, DNA sampling, polygraphs, and even brain mapping. But in October 2015, the CBI filed its final charge sheet. And on it, there was only one name, Santosh Rao. The CBI's conclusion was identical to the CID's and the local police's. The influential youths were cleared, and the mentally troubled drifter was the sole accused. For Saujanya's father, it was a devastating betrayal. He publicly criticized the charge sheet, insisting that, quote, the real culprits were being shielded. The case against Rao, however, was built on sand. For 11 long years, he languished in the justice system until his trial finally concluded in June of 2023. And the
Father, the girl living below us is kind of cute. You find every woman cute at this point. And skin in those eyes, father, and her hair. Bro is ready. Bro, crime syndicate, highly not possible. Pretty sure the temple guys did it. You get the idea. It's a huge it's a huge group that somehow organizes this, right? This is in some way organized. Because how do you have essentially dummies available at all times when you get caught? That's odd. That's just weird.
The verdict was a bombshell that vindicated Saujanya's family. The special CBI court acquitted Santosh Rao of all charges. The judge declared that the prosecution had utterly failed to prove his involvement, that there was nothing to show his involvement in the crime. But the judgment did more than just free an innocent man. It delivered a scathing indictment of the entire investigation. The court laid bare a litany of shocking lapses, a systemic failure that made a mockery of justice. First, the golden hour evidence was never collected. Now, you see, in a rape and murder case, the first few hours are critical. They're called the golden hours. Yet the initial investigators failed to take the most basic steps. No semen samples, no blood samples, no DNA swabs.
Yeah, it's over, because that's going to be gone pretty quickly. Here's Krog Rock. Hi, Krog Rock. How you doing? Hope you're doing good. Most of that stuff is going to be unusable sooner or later. So yeah, they have to grab that quite quickly. And let me guess, they did not do that.
Were taken from Saujanya's body. This glaring omission made it impossible.
None! These guys are retarded! Oh my god, they took nothing? They took none of it? Bro, these useless. Useless. That does not describe it at all. What do you mean, none? Accent is so cute. Let's go. So in rural area, especially in South India, temple society has much influence. Unfortunately, police is under their hands. Crazy. Wow.
Forever to identify an attacker through forensic science. Second, crucial leads were ignored. The court learned that PSI Yogesh Kumar Nayak, the first investigating officer, had failed to secure CCTV footage from a clinic run by the temple management, a key location on Saujanya's route home. That footage could have shown her final movements or who had been following her, but it was never seen. Nayak also collected mobile tower data from the area, another vital piece of evidence, but never handed it over to his successor when he was transferred. Third, evidence appeared to have been mishandled, tampered with, or even planted. Saujanya's family had pointed out a glaring anomaly from...
It's not incompetence, it's just being scared of someone powerful. Okay. Well, yeah, that's technically true. If they can plan it this way and this well, it just makes sense that they are just not powerful enough to do this.
Day 1. It had been raining around the time her body was found, yet her clothes were oddly dry, suggesting the crime had happened elsewhere and the scene was staged. The recovery of clothes allegedly belonging to Santosh Rao near the scene was also highly disputed. The court's verdict was so damning that it took the rare step of recommending that the police officials who botched the investigation, specifically naming PSI Yogesh Nayak and Circle Inspector Bhaskar Rai, be investigated themselves by an acquittal committee. Yet, as of 2020...
Wait, so the police themselves are being investigated. Huh, interesting.
25, no action has been taken against them. In fact, Bhaskar Rai was later promoted to Deputy SP. Now here's where we connect Saujanya's story with what's happening at Dharmasthala right now. You see, Santosh Rao's acquittal confirmed what Saujanya's family had screamed for a decade. An innocent man had been framed and the real killers, were still free. The case remains officially unsolved. And now, with the whistleblower's claims of over 100 victims in the same town, the ghost of Saujanya looms larger than ever. Her story is no longer seen as just a tragic, isolated case of a botched investigation. It has become Exhibit A in a much larger, more terrifying possibility that the rape and murder of Saujanya was not an anomaly, but part of a horrifying, long-running pattern of violence and cover-ups in the holy town of Dharmasthala. Chapter 3. The Case of Ananya Bhatt. The failure...
Ananya. See? I can pronounce it. I can. Okay, this appears to be a huge group of multiple perpetrators and some big numbers, some big guys behind it.
to find justice for Saujanya left a deep, unhealed wound in the community, a wound of mistrust and fear. But as the whistleblower story began to unravel this month, it became terrifyingly clear that Saujanya's case might not have been the beginning. Her story was an echo of an even older, colder case, a 22-year-old.
So you're saying there was something else in the beginning? Or could you do me a favor? Search total language spoken in India. I can do that real quick. I can do that real quick. Otherwise I need to change the chat there real quick. Total language spoken in India. 121 languages spoken. 121. That's a lot of languages. A lot of languages. That's a lot of languages. Mess up investigation, get investigated, get promotion, apparently. Apparently. Alright, we continue.
Mystery that had been buried by silence and violence. This is the story of Ananya Bhatt and her mother's 2-decade-long nightmare. In October of 2003, Ananya Bhatt was an 18-year-old medical student at the prestigious Kasturba Medical College, her future bright with promise. She travelled to Dharmasthala with her college for a trip, and then she simply vanished. Her mother, Sujata Bhatt, who was in another city at the time, received a frantic call from Ananya's friend. The college hostel warden admitted Ananya hadn't been seen for days. Sujata rushed to Dharmasthala, her heart pounding with the fear only a parent can know. She walked the streets of the holy town, frantically showing a photograph of her daughter to anyone who would listen. Disturbingly, several locals told her that they had in fact seen a young woman matching Ananya's description being escorted by temple staff around.
Oh, so another girl. Okay. Weird.
Around the time she disappeared. A cold dread began to set in. Sensing something was terribly wrong, Sujata went to the local Belthangadi police station, the same station Saujanya's father went to file, yet again, a missing person report. But instead of help, she was met with hostility. Quote, "The officers refused to register my complaint and accused my daughter of eloping," she would later recount. They verbally abused the distraught mother and threw her out of the station, more interested in smearing a young woman's character than investigating a potential crime. Desperate and with nowhere else to turn, Sujata says in her testimony that she went to the most powerful figures in town, Dr. Virendra Hegde, the Dharmadhikari of the temple, and his brother Harshen.
Whoever is behind this must have enormous power. They must have enormous power that whoever brings this up in any way, shape, or form just gets kicked out and ignored, rejected. This is insane. What the fuck?
Indra Kumar. She went to their residence and pleaded for their help in finding her daughter. She was, in her own words, quote, dismissed. She was rebuked and told to leave. Sujata was offered no assistance. That night, her ordeal took a surreal and terrifying turn. As she sat weeping near the temple, her hope dwindling, 4 men dressed in white approached her. She identified them as temple staff. They claimed that they had information about Ananya. Trusting them, she followed, only to be abducted at knife point. Quote, they tied me up, gagged me, and held me overnight in a dark room near the temple.
Yeah, it's the temple people. It's the temple people. It's the temple people. Yeah, I'm not. Nah. It is the temple people. It is the temple people. 100%. It is.
She recounted.
What? So there is this mother who's traveled to this town in a hunt for her daughter who's missing.
Yeah.
And in the middle of this hunt, she's been abducted at knife point?
According to her, by temple staff. And keep in mind, she also said that locals told her her daughter was last seen with temple staff as well.
There are some things in some of our cases that are so mind-blowing to me. Like, this is perfect proof of who is involved in this.
You know what's even crazier? The temple staff told her to not talk about her daughter's disappearance, to not prod and make any queries.
What?
They then went on to physically assault her, upon which they inflicted blunt force trauma, knocking her unconscious.
No way.
Aishwarya, Ananya's mom, was in a coma for 3 months, after which she woke up in a hospital in Bangalore.
3 months in a coma. 3 months in a coma. This woman was beaten into a coma. Did they do worse to her as well? Did they? Hopefully not. Worse than what I. No, hopefully not what I think.
With no wallet, no ID, no memory of what has happened in the last 3 months with her or her body.
That's maddening.
Yeah.
And even then, based on what I know now, it's taken that many years.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's 2003, so 20 plus years. And I mean,
That's crazy.
nobody gave a shit. Nobody gave a shit. Then this is why this case is infuriating people. So Janya's case made the headlines. Now Ananya's case is getting the limelight because some people are covering it.
Right.
That's 2 in 100 that this man claims. And the missing person cases in this area amount.
Well, that's technically up to now, for what we know, since there's 1,000 other bodies. That's 2 out of 1,000. Well, she could have never come back. Potentially, she could have never come back.
to over 400, by the way.
Wow.
Which is far above any district's average
I've
for
never heard
missing
of anything like
women
this.
of young age.
The only thing that is kind of close to this that I've sort of heard of, and it's not even this systematic, is the disappearance of a huge, very large number of like prostitutes back in the US. So there'll be cities
Yeah.
where multiple of them have gone missing over years. But even then, the number is not even
I'll tell you
close to
what
this
this reminds
many.
me of. This reminds me of Nithari, and it reminds me of the black hole. Remember, there was this area
Yeah,
in
the
Nithari
radius, yeah.
where kids used to disappear.
Right.
Specific area that was known as the black hole.
Oh yeah, the last thing we watched where not the last one, but the thing before that, where that one guy buried all the kids in like behind the other guy's house that he was working for. That one. Yeah, it does remind me of that, because if this was an issue, people would be talking about it a lot, but apparently that's not the case. Parents not, I guess when their child disappears, parents just have so little faith that they're not reporting it.
By the police. To me, everything surrounding this temple, black hole. These cases, where is the woman last seen? Around the temple.
Yeah.
Seen around whom? Temple staff.
Yeah.
Again, that's circumstantial evidence. Don't get me wrong. But I think with this whistleblower coming out, that those whispers, the whispers that have been talked about for decades in this town might finally have forensic evidence backing it up,
Right.
which is why everybody is up in arms, which is why people in
As they
power are
should
scared.
be, yeah.
When Sujata awoke, all she had left was a scar from an 8-stitch wound on her head, a grim reminder of the night.
I must say, though, these two have some balls. I must admit, these two have some balls. You know why? Aren't they, with this video, right? Aren't they putting a target on their back as well? Just thinking about this seems kind of unsafe to make a video about it now, knowing how many powerful people are maybe targeted by. Though then again, I don't know where they currently are. Are they in India? Are they not in India? Regardless, that is insane.
She tried to find her daughter.
ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬಂದ ಮೇಲೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು 4 ಜನ ಬಂದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮಗಳನ್ನು ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡೋಗಿ ಕೈಯೆಲ್ಲ ರೂಮಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಹಾಕಿ ಕೈಯೆಲ್ಲ ಕಟ್ಟ ಹಾಕಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ ಗಾಯಗಳಿದ್ದಾವೆ.
For years, Sujata was silenced by trauma and fear. Quote, I lived in fear for years, she said, terrified to return to Dharmasthala or speak out against the influential forces she believed were responsible for her daughter's disappearance and her own brutal assault. Ananya's case was never formally registered by the police. It was never investigated. It was, for all intents and purposes, erased. But in July 2025, the whistleblower's confession gave Sujata a glimmer of hope. His account of unidentified female bodies, and especially the recovery of a human skull, prompted her to act. So on July 15, 2025, just a week ago, the 60-year-old mother walked back into the Dharmasthala police station, the same place that had turned her away 22 years ago, and filed a fresh complaint. She believes her daughter is one of the whistleblower's unnamed victims, and in her appeal, she no longer asks for justice, but for a final, heartbreaking closure. Please find my daughter's skeletal remains and allow me to perform the funeral rites with.
That's so sad. That's so sad. That is so sad. I don't know why you bring that up. Zoom in, I won't read it out. Simple. They are in high society, plus the capital, plus to travel on foreign a lot. But don't you think that the people that are this powerful, that can essentially hide all of this, don't you think they have a lot more power than these two? Like, I feel like that puts a target on them, to be fair.
Honor, give peace to Ananya's soul, and let me spend my final days in peace. End quote.
ಇವಾಗ ಆಸ್ತಿ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಏನಾದರೂ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ರೆ ಅವಳದು ಬಾಡಿ ಆಸ್ತಿ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ರೆ ನನಗೆ ಒಂದು ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಓವರ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ನನ್ನ DNA ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಅಷ್ಟು ಜನರ ಆಸ್ತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರಾದರೂ ನನ್ನ ಮಗಳ ಒಂದು ಆಸ್ತಿ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು DNA ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಆ ಆಸ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ನನಗೆ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಓವರ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳೋಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಓಕೆ.
And in a stunning act of courage, she has offered to undergo a polygraph test to prove her credibility, and has pointedly requested that Virendra Hegde and his brother be made to do the same, asserting that they might possess critical information. Sujata Bhatt's 22-year-old wound has been torn open, but this time she is not alone. The skeletons of Dharmasthala are beginning to surface. Chapter 4: The Unraveling. Sujata's story, layered on top of Saujanya's, paints a chilling picture of a town where for decades power, fear and silence reign supreme. But the whistleblower's testimony in July is a crack in that fortress, and through that crack, a storm is brewing. The battle for the truth is happening right now. You see, on 11 July 2025, the case took a dramatic, almost cinematic turn. A figure completely disguised in cloth with only a narrow slit for the eyes was escorted under armed guard into the magistrate court in Belthangadi. This is the whistleblower.
Well, that makes sense, because if they know what he looks like, they can take him out. To be fair, probably some people know what he looks like, potentially. Maybe. Maybe not. I guess they don't know what he looks like. Because otherwise they wouldn't do it, and also that would put them in danger. Huh. The powerful people hide as best as they can. True, that is true. True, but they are just reading the stuff that is already out there. Yes, but they're spreading it to a big audience. If they've been caught, they're the police and the news media who comes first and second. So I don't think they even know about the channel that re-exposed them, assuming the crime got solved eventually. This is new. This is a new one. This is still fairly new.
Brought to give his official statement under oath. In the closed courtroom, he recounts his story and then he presents his proof. He hands over a bag to the court, and inside it is a human skull and other bone fragments, physical evidence of the horrors he has described. In that moment, the case moves from allegation to a tangible forensic reality. He also, for the first time, officially names the alleged perpetrators in a sealed statement. The act ignites a firestorm of public outrage. Civil society groups, women's organizations, and legal advocates mobilize, all with one unified demand. This investigation cannot be trusted to the local police. Citing the disastrous and failed SIT in the Saujanya case, they call for an independent, court-monitored special investigative team led by a senior and respected IPS officer. Another very important thing to note and very unique in this case is that the affidavit submitted by the whistleblower includes the names of the perpetrators, but it is sealed. So even the judges aren't aware of the names inside that just yet. It has been given as an insurance against the man's life so that the whistleblower is not eliminated by those in power. So it's a very interesting scenario brewing where he has basically ensured that he'll be fine. And if anything happens to him, the judge opens that file and sees the name of who apparently is the alleged perpetrator. Recently, a delegation of 30 advocates met with the chief minister demanding an SIT be formed, that all procedures be video recorded, and that arrests be made immediately, regardless of the accused's position or power. But even as the public calls for a transparent investigation, a troubling tug of war is unfolding behind the scenes between the whistleblower's legal team.
Okay. So, he has the names of the alleged perpetrators, so that's good. Okay. Yet if the criminal got caught, he can't do nothing to those two. If he didn't got caught, he won't do anything, not reveal anything, not reveal anything. Yeah. I guess. But it's probably multiple people. This isn't just one guy. This area is not getting one guide for sure.
And the Dakshin Kannada police. The trust is already broken, and the actions of the police in the days following the testimony only deepen the suspicion. The conflict erupts into public view on July 16th. In a press release covered by the Indian Express, the district SP, Dr. Arun K, makes a shocking announcement. He states, quote, "There is confidential information that the complainant could abscond," end quote. The police imply the key witness is uncooperative and his whereabouts were unknown. The very next day, the whistleblower's lawyers fire back, calling the police's claim false. In a statement reported by the New Indian Express, they reveal that just 2 days prior, on July 14th, the whistleblower had met with the police investigators at a secure location for 4 hours. They had even emailed his confidential temporary address to the police on July 13th. The police, they argue, know exactly how to reach him. But then comes the next move. On July 15th, instead of preparing to visit the burial sites the whistleblower had offered to identify, the police file an application in court seeking permission to conduct a brain mapping, fingerprint analysis, and narco analysis, the truth serum test, on the whistleblower himself. His lawyers are stunned. The police seem more interested in questioning the witness's credibility than in verifying his claims. I will say at this point, Ishwarya, I do think it is fair to question the credibility of a whistleblower.
Obviously, it is important to question the truth, right? Makes sense. Oh my god, I hope that these people all get not just get jailed, but just taken out forever. I do think so. I do think so. I do think so that these people should be gone after this one once they are all in jail.
That has been absconding, has come back with these big allegations. I think you need to both question his credibility, but also investigate his claims that have been backed by forensic evidence. Nothing can be greater than a skull or pointing to a burial site and going, I know something's buried there.
Of course, it's not one or the other.
It's not one or the other.
100%.
So, yeah. His legal team expresses their frustration in a powerful statement saying he had every reason to believe that the very next day after his deposition, the police would return with him to the site for documentation. Yet, as of today, 16 July, no such step has been taken. The continued delay is not just inexplicable, it is shocking to the complainant. End quote. The breaking point comes just hours after that statement
They're actively not visiting the sites that he's pointing out, aren't they? They're actively not seeking them out.
is released. An exhumation exercise is scheduled for the same day, July 16th. The whistleblower is ready to guide the police to a specific burial spot. His lawyers are present to witness the process. But as reported by several news outlets, the police don't show up. After waiting for over an hour in vain, the attempt
Yeah, they're actively trying to avoid it. Yup. They're actively trying to do that. Yup. Yup, definitely.
is abandoned. The series of events claiming the witness is missing, pushing for a narco test, and skipping a planned exhumation sends a clear message to the whistleblower's camp and to the public. The local police cannot be trusted. The parallels to Saujanya investigation are undeniable. The fear is that this case, just like hers, will be deliberately sabotaged through delay, indifference, and a focus on discrediting those who dare to speak out. The unraveling has begun, but it isn't clear if it is the crime that is being unraveled or the investigation itself. Chapter 5: The Fortress.
I mean, true, right? This goes much deep. This goes very, very deep. The police is giga corrupted. This goes very deep.
Of power and fear. The question on our minds, those of us who do not live in Dharmasthala, is that why would an entire system appear to move so slowly, so strangely, when faced with one of the most horrific allegations in the state, if not the country's history? But to find the answer, you have to understand that Dharmasthala is more than just a temple town. It is a fortress of power. The Dharmasthala temple is not only a religious institution, but also a powerful socio-economic force in the region. The trust, run by the Hegde family, ironic in its name, controls a vast network of local educational institutions, businesses, charities, and considerable land. Now, this is common for any temple or religious trust in India, but this family's influence is immense, and its head is the Dharmadhikari, Dr. Virendra Hegde, a Padma Award-winning philanthropist and a sitting Rajya Sabha MP, a member of India's upper house of parliament. This connects the temple's administration to the highest echelons of political power. For decades, this influence has allegedly fostered a climate of fear. The whistleblower's claims of over 100 murders are shocking, but for local activists, they resonate with a horrifying
But when did they? They haven't said anything about 1,000 other bodies. When does that come into play? We don't have much time anymore, so that has to be talked about at one point.
statistic that has been whispered for years. According to some investigative reports, as many as 400 women from Dharmasthala and the surrounding areas have either gone missing or been found dead under suspicious
Well, just as I say it, they say it.
circumstances over the last 20 years, with many cases allegedly brushed aside by authorities. This number is so alarming that in July 2025, the Karnataka State Commission for Women took official notice, writing to the Chief Minister and demanding data on all missing women and girls from the region over the past 2 decades. The fear is sustained by what happens to those who dare to question the narrative. Activists and journalists who have tried to investigate Dharmasthala have faced severe pushback. The news outlet, the News Minute, which extensively covered the Saujanya case, was reportedly forced to take down articles after being hit with defamation suits by individuals linked to the temple, and is now entangled in ongoing legal battles over its reporting. Even in 2025, attempts to silence critics continues. A Kannada YouTuber who created a viral video explaining the alleged cover-up in the Saujanya case was served a notice by the police, accusing him of hurting religious sentiments. We hope we are not offending anybody's sentiments in covering this story. The Karnataka High Court had to step in to protect him from arrest, with a judge sharply asking the police, quote, "Where is the mortal hurry?" Because the YouTuber has projected somebody influential.
That's sus. That is sus. 400k, yeah, it's not one murder for sure. This is a big group. This is probably the temple's doing for sure.
The judge's question hangs in the air, echoing what so many believe, that the system is being weaponized to protect the powerful. The whistleblower himself articulated this fear in his own complaint. He wrote that the perpetrators he is ready to name are very influential and have a tendency to eliminate those who oppose them. This isn't just paranoia, it is a fear born from decades of seeing justice denied and questions silenced. It is this fortress of power and fear that the current investigation must now confront. As of today, July 20th, 2025, the Dharmasthala mass burial case stands at a precarious crossroad. The Karnataka government, led by its chief minister, has acknowledged the gravity of the allegations but remains cautious. He has publicly stated that his government is not opposed to forming a special investigative team, but insists on waiting for a preliminary police report before making a decision. In his words, quote, "If an SIT is required, it will be constituted. But we cannot take a hurried decision based on the complaint of a person who has claimed he buried the bodies." End quote. He assures the public that his government will not budge under any pressure, but for the families of the missing, every moment of a delay feels like an eternity.
Aran, what kind of logic is this that just because maybe the person who was engaged in hiding up these crimes has come forward, we can no longer have an SIT team? Like, so what?
Yeah.
There is still an investigation that needs to happen.
Yeah. I mean, can't even...
Because there's a good chance this investigation is not happening because the people in power are actively blocking it. Everything makes logical sense that you could do that, but if somebody behind that doesn't want it to happen, then it won't happen.
Argue with that. I thought about, let me play a devil's advocate. The only devil's advocate I could see to this is, had the police been a reliable investigative body in the past, and you're going, hey, they've done their job in the past.
Yeah, we trust them.
We trust them.
Right.
They've not. 400 people allegedly.
Yeah, how does it matter who came forward with the information? There is a man coming forward and saying there are these many bodies here in the skull.
I mean, bro literally said, here. These are the bodies. They're buried here. Dig here. You will find them. We're not gonna pull up. It's literally stupid.
401st case by this police department, that one they will nail. Sorry they've fucked up the last 400.
And the man that is coming forward is maybe somehow... Even if he is involved.
If he is.
Investigate that. Like,
clearly the man hasn't done 100 alone.
That's wild.
And it's a man who was in hiding who's come out. To me, even circumstantially, why would he come out? He was in hiding.
No, and even if he is,
I know, I'm saying.
Even if he's guilty and he needs to be taken
get
and
the
prosecuted
SIT
and put behind bars,
it
SIT still needs to be investigated.
Of course. The whistleblower, the single key to this entire case, remains in a safe house, a man caught between his past and an uncertain future. His cooperation hinging on a system he has every reason to mistrust. The exhumations have not yet begun, and the police investigation is proceeding at a pace that activists and lawyers call shocking. No arrests have been made, and the fortress of power, for now, remains unshaken. Covering a story like this comes with its own set of challenges. We have seen how journalists and activists who previously dug into the mysteries of Dharmasthala have been met with defamation lawsuits and legal battles that have had a chilling effect, forcing some news outlets to...
Exactly, see? While they could not be a target of being taken out, they can definitely be a target of a defamation lawsuit, for sure. Let's hope that doesn't happen to them.
Pull down their own reports. It is a stark reminder that in some stories, the powerful can wield silence as a weapon. But it is for this very reason that these stories must be told. The search for justice for Saujanya, for Ananya Bhatt, and for the 100+ unnamed souls that whistleblower speaks of deserve a voice, not a court-ordered gag. The skeletons of Dharmasthala have been unearthed, both literally and figuratively. The question now is, will they be allowed to speak? Or will the sacred soil of a holy town be used to bury the truth once more?
If you like what we do here at Desi,
This was insane. I can't say it differently. That was insane. That was wild. This was insane. So this is completely an ongoing case of ginormous of a ginormous size, with people that appear to be way too powerful to be taken out. Damn, bro. Well, this probably won't be the final cover. They will cover this probably again once it is solved anyways. Like, comment, and subscribe.